So I'm going to compare the Armor Kuruma to the Duke of Death, but I'm not going to talk about performance and handling like other YouTubers. I'm going to talk about its effectiveness against NPC and missions. Lucky for me, I was able to buy the Armor Kuruma on discount, and because I had a million something dollars in my wallet at the time, it didn't really cut an impact on my wallet because it was discounted to a cheap price where I could just import 3 cars and export them and then be able to get the money back. So it was not a big deal to me, and the fact that I was a returning player from PS3 to PS4, I get the Duke of Death for free. But if you're a player that's not returning, then you won't be able to get the Duke of Death for free. And I don't know the price, but I believe it's half a million. It's around 500,000 and something. So I'll tell you at the end of this video if it's actually worth purchasing or not. But the one thing I'll have to tell you about the Duke of Death that's annoying and that you'll have to get used to is the fact that you can't shoot from behind. Yeah, that's right. So if another player is driving behind you with an insurgent and they decide to aim a sticky bomb at your car and chase you, throw it on, you can't really shoot back to defend yourself. In case you guys didn't know already, you can actually shoot a sticky bomb if someone's holding it in their hand and you can blow them up and kill them. So you don't really need body shots, just one lucky shot to a sticky bomb if someone's chasing you and trying to throw one on your car. But when it comes to the Duke of Death, you can't look back, so there's no way for you to defend yourself unless you want to just turn around and just shoot someone. But if they're chasing you with an insurgent and sticky bombs, chances are you wouldn't want to attempt to turn around and shoot at the insurgent because they could just blow you up. And since the insurgent can take 6 to 7 explosives, I don't think the player will really care if one explosive hits the front of his car when you decide to turn around and he rams into you. So for situations like that, it's a really bad car to be in, especially if there's NPC behind you chasing you and you can't shoot back because, well, they're behind you and you can't shoot back. So that mostly leaves you defenseless, and that might be a turnoff for some people that just find that out about the Duke of Death. I don't know if that would for me because I'd mostly use this for NPC and missions, but you know, I guess people can use this if they like the look of the car or if they want to feel somewhat protected. And that's another thing I want to mention is protection. You can get shot on the left and right side panels of the door, and you can also get shot through the front of the windshield because they have a giant gap right there exposing your whole face. So you'll get shot really easy by NPC and definitely instant kill if you drive by a player with auto aim. And I understand it's to balance the car out, but honestly, I would have rather had a car where I had full bullet protection and not be able to shoot out of than a car that's just weak. I tested this on police shootouts and surprisingly I lasted long. I think this vehicle is best if you're defensive and not offensive, and what I mean by that is if you're someone who goes aggressive and decides to attack NPC head on face to face, you're definitely going to lose some health or almost die if it's set to hard difficulty because they can shoot you in the face. So again, it's not mostly a offensive attacking vehicle, it's more of a defensive. So if you're just driving away from the cops, then you're most likely be protected. But if you're going head on face to face, you're gonna die. See how that cop was right above my character's head? That's how they can easily shoot through the windows, and that's something you want to watch out for. Because if a noose SUV appears in front of you, crashes into you, and completely stops you, the guys on the side of the truck have clear access to shoot through your window and kill you immediately. You can't really do nothing about it because you're stuck and you can't back out in time. So that's some things you have to worry about is those black SWAT SUVs because they can't be pushed out of the way that easy. And as you can see, my health is almost down in the video, so you can almost die. There'll be times like that a lot, so you got to keep an eye on your health bar if you're in the Duke of Death. That's why I sort of don't like using this vehicle a lot because you do get armor protection when it comes to them shooting at the car itself, but when it comes to shooting at the player, it's not well protected. Like I said before, it just depends on if they're higher than you. If the NPC is not on ground level with you, most of the time they can get clean shots into your window. So if you're fighting them with the Duke of Death, you never want an NPC to be above you. If you want them to be below you or on ground level because If they're above you, they can get a clear shot into the window. That's why those SWAT members on the SUVs are able to take your health down easily, because since they're above you, they have clear shot access to your head. But the NPC are programmed to shoot for the chest, so when they're on mid-ground level with you, they can't really shoot you in the chest. That's just what I noticed so far. You could test it yourself if you don't believe me. But anyways, let's talk about the armor Kuruma. But before I get started, I know that my voice probably sounds different in this portion of the video. That's because PlayStation Share's memory apparently ran out and it wouldn't let me continue putting more clips of audio. So I had to export it, then start where I left off in a different portion of this video, if that makes sense. So if it sounds loud or lower than it should be, it's really not my fault. I didn't have enough memory to continue, so I had to make the video, then re-record the lines where I left off. And it might probably compress the video quality too from what it usually is, but I guess it's worth it. Anyways, when it comes to armor on this one, it's actually surprising. You can only get shot from the side door panels, but that's only if you're still, or if someone comes up to you with a shotgun and starts spraying. Other than that, this thing is almost completely bulletproof. Well, I wouldn't say that. It could still catch on fire and get damaged, but from the front or the back, you can't even get shot at. And that makes it much better than the Duke of Death, because with the Duke of Death, you can get shot in the front. And one of the things I like about the armor Kuruma is you can mostly fire in almost every direction. The reason why I say almost is because certain angles, when you look backwards, like back left or back right, you can't aim for some reason, but you could shoot straight back, and you could shoot from left to right to forward in any of those directions. But that's not the best advantage that the armor Kuruma has. If you have 3 friends, each of them can fit in the car, and if you really want to be overpowered against NPC, upgrade to the heavy revolver Mark II and have incendiary rounds, and you and your friends could just 1 to 2 hit kill all the enemies and catch them on fire, and on top of that be almost completely protected from any bullets flying your way. But if there's one thing I'll have to mention, if you're trying to fight other players with this thing isn't completely invincible. One explosive of any kind can completely destroy the armor Kuruma instantly. So don't think you can pull off drive-bys with it, because someone will probably pull a grenade launcher out and shoot you miles away before you get a chance to drive up on them. And if they don't do that, well, if they're in an auto-aim lobby and they have a combat MG with full metal jacket, these new ammo types can rip through the windows and shoot you out almost instantly. So full metal jacket on players combined with any explosive is something you really need to watch out for in this car, because just because the cops and NPC can't shoot through it doesn't mean the players can't. And players will use explosives to take this thing down, or full metal jackets. And I know earlier I said I mainly wanted to focus on NPC and how effective they are in missions, but I just wanted to throw that out there because, well, I guess some people don't know about that stuff. But like I said before, this thing against NPC is basically fully protected against bullets unless you get shot on the side of the windows. But judging how most players drive, most likely you won't stop to get shot out the windows, and if you accidentally do get hit by a cop SUV, most chances are they'll shoot you from the front, not the side. So if you're not in a Duke of Death, then you pretty much have nothing to worry about if you're driving the armor Kuruma and you get shot in the front. So that's one thing that's great about it, is it's definitely a better vehicle to just ram and charge the enemy with the armor Kuruma and have the second player shoot at them while they're on the ground, and just have the second player go crazy than the Duke of Death. I noticed that the Duke of Death, however, does have a little slit on the passenger side, but I never was able to test it out with a second player to see if the second passenger side has bulletproof protection, because, well, I don't really have anyone to drive it with, so I just drive it with myself, and since I can't get in the passenger seat to check it out, I can't really know for sure. But knowing Rockstar Games, I could say that it's only for cosmetic effect, and most likely the second player will get shot out if they do get shot through the windshield, because, well, the armor plate in front's probably fake, so who knows. But even if it was real, it might not be effective, because even though the passenger is protected, the driver would still get shot and killed, so it wouldn't really work out that well for the driver, only for the passenger. when it comes to Armor Kuruma, it works for both because they're both protected in the front and back. Only time they actually get shot is through the little slits on the side. But other than that, you're pretty much safe in the Armor Kuruma. And the fact that you can have 2 more people, that's just better because then you can have almost a bulletproof gunship. This thing isn't completely bulletproof and it can be shot on fire. It has been nerfed since it first came out, so it will catch on fire quicker, but it's still better than most of the armored vehicles out there when it comes to eating up bullets, so if you get this on discounted price, it's worth it for missions. So now for the final result. Which one is the best for missions if you want to protect yourself from getting shot at by NPC? Well, I would say the Armor Kuruma in almost every way. I know that I wasn't going to talk about handling, but I'm just saying this as a mention. People will say that the Duke of Death is faster and that it handles much better than the Armor Kuruma. But when it comes to protection and what these 2 vehicles are supposed to do, the Armor Kuruma does a much better job to where you almost never get shot out, and you could use it for heist. So basically missions like little contact jobs or heist, you can call it in and have your friend be in any 3 seats, or if you have multiple friends, at least 3 of them, they could fit in the back of the Armor Kuruma, to where with the Duke of Death you can only fit 1, which, like I said before, is one of the benefits the Armor Kuruma has over the Duke of Death. Not only do you get more firepower, but you get more protection, to where the Duke of Death, you got what you got. And it's not really worth the full price tag, especially if it's worth more than the Armor Kuruma, and especially since the Armor Kuruma is on discount right now. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't waste my money on it. But if you're a returning player, I guess it's worth it. The only time I see this card being worth it is if in some odd scenario someone has transferred their PS3 character or Xbox 360 to current gen. They haven't really played the game yet or made that much cards. Like, say if they played GTA Online a tiny bit to get to rank 10, but they never played it that much. They heard that the current generation is coming out. They transferred it, but they never played it then. And for some reason they're just deciding to get back to it. They don't have any cars. Since they're a returning player, the Duke of Death is free along with a few other cars. I'd say out of that bunch, the Duke of Death would be worth it because it's really well armored for taking bullets from the back, and it's pretty fast, has a decent handling too. So for a free car, it's worth it. But if you have to pay $500,000 for it, just skip it. You'd be better off with the Armor Kuruma. But I guess that's one of the things that suck about the Duke of Death, is that it's not a free car by default. It could have been the perfect car if it was a free car by default, because it's somewhat armor protected, has great resistance getting shot at on the body of the car with bullets, and it has a decent speed. So it would have been a great default car for free if you could buy it. And I mean default by not upgrading at all. But because it's not free, and some players unfortunately have to pay for it, it's just not worth the price tag at all. But that's just what I think about it. If you're playing single player only and you have no way to play online, or maybe you don't care about it because of the microtransactions, then yeah, the Duke of Death is pretty decent if you can't get to Armor Kuruma. But if you can buy Armor Kuruma in multiplayer, then get that instead.